You can't stay in there and tape them,
Well, we'll see what happens.
right? Well, I just told you what's happening, you can't do it.
It sounds like
You don't need
maybe,
to take a picture of me.
Call to order the Cottrellville Township Board meeting, a special meeting set for today, Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 3 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom?
Here.
Carl?
Here.
Bev? Here. Mary Agnes? Here. Sherry? Here. Okay, we have an agenda in front of you. Is there any, there shouldn't be any additions or deletions? We have an approval, motion to approve the agenda as presented, please.
I'll motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye, please, by roll call vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Bev?
Yes. Sherry? Yes.
Motion carried. All right, I think at this time I'm going to turn this meeting over to one of you guys as moderator. Sherry, you put most of this together. Did you want to take that job or you want to give it to? How about Carl?
All right. I called this meeting because of the letters that were written by the office staff regarding the receipt that was
Okay,
shown.
what we have to do first is open for a closed session, please.
Open for discussion then. The receipt which indicated that $650 had been received and paid by Mr. Young, which turned out not to be true. So the question came up is that fraud, is that a fraud or fraudulent action? And if so, what's the repercussions of that happening? And how do we keep that from happening again? Now, we would like to know why it was done, I guess.
Is this where we open up for a closed session, Carl, or is it after? Are we gonna go into a closed session?
So, my understanding is that it was going to be a closed section to start with. We were just.
So you have to bring that up if you're running the meeting.
Okay,
We're gonna have a closed session, but.
Can I make a motion for a closed session to discuss this matter? Or does he have to do it?
No, anybody can do it.
All right, I make a motion for a closed session to discuss this.
I'll second.
Call for
Call for roll call by name.
Tom?
Yes.
Mary Agnes?
yes.
Bev? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes.
This is where we say goodbye, everybody.
We come back in though, right? After the closed session, you take a vote.
Yeah, if there's, if there's anything to discuss after, we can open it up again, I guess. Can't we?
Well, you have to take the vote in the open session. So you can go into closed session to discuss it, but you still have to come back in and take a vote on whether you consider it fraud or not.
Yeah.
In public, in front of all of us. Roll call.
All right.
That's my understanding. Clerk would know.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. Cool beans.
Okay, we've ended the closed meeting, and we're going to continue with the regular board meeting now. What we've decided is we've got to get a little more documentation together on this issue. So I'm going to prepare a document, a package basically, that discusses this whole thing. We're going to bring it together in another special board meeting to discuss it. We've also, I entertained the thought of another township resolution that hopefully, after everybody reviews it, will get passed. And we're going to have the meeting, I wrote it down, on the 9th of September at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
7th.
Oh, the 9th, yeah, the 7th, rather, at 5 o'clock.
On the 7th.
Wednesday, September 7th.
December 7th. And at that time, I'll hopefully have the documentation that we need. It'll all be ready to be reviewed and voted on, and hopefully we'll put this thing to bed.
Can you elaborate what's going on? I mean, what was this meeting for?
There was a receipt that was marked paid, and apparently it wasn't paid. And the question was, why was it marked paid? And there's a story behind it, and we want to put that document together that explains the whole thing, so that there's no question as to what's going on. Everybody will know what was going on.
Don't you have that already?
We didn't have part of the whole package. We had bits and pieces of it. We don't have the whole thing put together in one document.
Who made the complaint?
That was a joint memorandum or letter from the people that work in the township hall here.
Did they provide you with documents at that time?
They provided it, I still don't have everybody's side of the issue.
Whose side are you waiting
Well,
on?
I had to talk to Mary Agnes about this and get her side of what this was all about. We've had our closed meeting, we've discussed it, we have an understanding of what was going on, and now we need to put that into a catch-all document, if you will, that'll put the whole thing out there, everybody will know what's going on, and there'll hopefully be no questions.
Why are you having a special meeting instead of having it at the regular board meeting?
Because we didn't have the whole story. That's why we're having this meeting, to get the whole story, get it, put it in.
You can have a closed session at a regular board meeting, and it's televised.
We wanted to have this before we go to the regular board meeting.
No,
Now we will-
you're going backwards.
It can't be televised if it's a closed board meeting.
Yes, it
anyhow.
can. You
No,
can
it can't.
request a
No,
close, it can be televised until you have the closed session.
Yeah. So what's the difference? We have a closed meeting.
Because more people, it's documented, more people can view it. We all had to, at the
Well,
last minute, make changes, not that I care, but other people can't view it. It's not about, the idea for a special meeting is if it's something that cannot be done at a regular board meeting.
Which is an employee, and I'm an employee.
But you are going to closed session, you're not here with any lawyers, you're not being.
There was
You want to
attorneys, this is just my take on it. There was no money taken, no money came in, no money went out. There was no money exchanged, period. It's just, we have to get all the stuff. There was a receipt made, but, and that's as far as I can go with it until we review the rest of this. I'm sorry, Carl, I'm speaking out of turn. But
So
if we don't have a special meeting, I don't think, we need to get past this, and at the regular meeting, we want to vote on what Carl's putting together here. So
you're going to wait till September 9th, and what is today?
7th.
September 7th.
When's the next board meeting?
September 7th.
Regular board meeting?
15, 14?
So instead of violating the Open Meetings Act by having a special meeting when you shouldn't, you can't wait one more week.
I want to get the document together.
That doesn't matter. Look at your Open Meetings Act.
I want to get it together. I want everybody to agree with what I put in there before we come out and give it to you. Because I don't want to make a misstatement. Then you get it and you're off running, you know, starting all these little fires. I want to make sure the document is accurate. And
Okay.
then I want to bring that to the board.
So are we going to see documentation at the next special meeting, or is that going to be still
It'll be at-
part of the closed session?
It'll be at the board meeting, you'll see the final document. And that'll be the open meeting, and you'll see the document. But until I get the document written, and I know it's correct, and there's no misstatements in it, it doesn't need to be passed around for people to start.
Can I ask you something else? When did you get the notice that there was a problem?
I got that, well, I was out of town for 3 weeks. I got it probably a week or two after it happened.
And when
And
did it
then- and
actually
then that
come,
was-
when did it come to your attention exactly?
Okay, I got into town Sunday,
Sunday what?
Sunday of, when was that?
What date? Was it before the regular
It
board
was, it
meeting?
was the Sunday before Election Day.
Okay,
Because
so,
Monday afternoon, I got my mail, I got a box of mail from the post office that had been held up. By the time I went through it, it was 7 o'clock at night. There's nobody here at that time. Tuesday's Election Day. Wednesday of that week was the first time I had a chance to talk to anybody about it. So it was the Wednesday after Election Day is when I first started to look into this.
so this was August 2nd? Was that week then? Is that when the election was, Sherry? I can't.
Yes, it was.
So somebody charges somebody with something like that, a board member, and you wait until August 22nd to call a special meeting to look into it with the rest
No,
of the
because
board?
what I did is, right when I got it, I came in here and I started talking to people. I talked to everybody one by one. I didn't bring them into a group and try to get some,
Okay, what I'm saying, Carl, is I'm assuming there was an accusation of fraud. That's all I can assume because we haven't seen the document. You're saying there was a receipt. The rest of the board members obviously received notice as well, am I correct?
well,
All the board members received,
Tom and I got something sent to us in the mail.
right, and then the rest of the board members already knew about the incident.
Well, they had written the
Okay,
report.
why wasn't a special meeting called right away?
Because I was trying to get all the area. I was
Why
trying to-
didn't the rest of the board members have a special meeting right away? I'm not talking about you just specifically, Carl, I appreciate that, but when somebody within elected official is charged with something possibly that could be fraud, why weren't the state police called and why wasn't there a special meeting if you couldn't wait until a regular board meeting? Why would you take a chance that another incident would occur or documents would disappear? This is what I'm asking. Why didn't the rest of the board members do anything?
Can I ask a question?
Good.
Was this a charge or was this something brought to attention that was questionable because maybe there was an error and wanted to get more information? Was it an actual charge?
By the,
No, there was.
I'm asking questions.
There was no charge. It was just
Okay.
something that came out and there was a
That
concern.
needs to be
and-
investigated by the board before the follow through with the charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, now, being
That
that we
makes
don't
sense.
have the documents, scuttlebutt is that it was actual fraud. So if that were the case and the board was made aware,
You're
that the
innocent until
employees...
proven guilty though.
Well, I agree, but if the employees,
That was the whole thing, is I went
Okay.
through and I went and got a document which identifies by law what fraud is.
yeah, I have that too.
Then
Signatures,
we had to discuss whether it was actual
Right.
fraud or not, you know, and all this. Now, we're not lawyers to start with, so it's kind of our interpretation of what's there
isn't
based
that,
on the exact words.
okay, isn't that though something that you should call, if there is any suspicion of fraud by any elected official, you call state police right away? Isn't
No.
that what they
No,
advise
there's-
the board
there's-
members to do?
There's two
No, no
types.
one's ever advised me of any of this.
Well, isn't-
I'm not a career politician by any means, Kathy.
Was it fraud or error that you're checking?
Excuse me?
Was it a fraud or an error you were checking?
We were looking at fraud, because if it was fraud, yeah, we have a serious problem, but that's, no, you don't want to have someone arrested or anything and find out it was a mistake.
An error.
Well, they
You
wouldn't be
know,
arrested.
We were going on caution, we were cautioning ourselves, we didn't want to get this to be blown out of the water when it was, if it was nothing. That's-
You're
that's
going
the whole
backwards,
thing.
but that's.
We wanted to get the
whatever.
whole story, get it all straightened out, get it in writing, and then everybody can see it.
This
We're not
board,
trying to hide anything.
this board, and I'm speaking for myself again, but I think we're trying to be more of a common sense than attorneys and who Joe Biden's running with or what his kids doing. We don't have a team of attorneys working here. We do it with common sense. We're not looking at $600,000, we're not looking at $6 million. We're looking at,
You're looking at
A small
whatever amount it is, but if it's done intentionally, it's still fraud.
Yeah.
Whether it be a
It was
dollar or.
But
it was done intentionally to
It's
take
the
money.
intention.
Well, that's for us to hash out and decide.
If you look at the definition of fraud, fraud is when you do something to get monetary gain for your, either money, property, and that is what fraud is. That did not happen here.
I would think it's defined more generally as an intent to deceive.
Yes.
Whether it be money, signatures,
It's an
receipts.
tendency to gain monetary
Yeah.
gain or
Not
property gain,
necessarily
or-
monetary.
It was. there was no-
Again, you're not the state police, so, right?
I
So-
agree, but that was the whole thing. Do we call the state police in, and it turns out to be nothing?
Why not?
You know, that was.
That would be the best thing, wouldn't it? Yes, exactly.
Why
That's-
not? You guys are not law enforcement, you're not attorneys, you're explaining to me that you don't understand the law.
What we were
That you have a
trying to
piece
do
of paper that
is
says
make
what the law
sure that
is.
if we did call the police in, yeah, it was right to call them
You're doing it
We're not
backwards,
trying to-
Mark.
That's backwards. You are trying to hide shit. This is,
in. No,
can I say
if
something that's
then
crap?
we wouldn't have had this meeting, we wouldn't be preparing a
You
document.
did have a meeting and you closed the damn door, you sent us all packing. You guys all sit here and whisper back and forth playing games.
Hold on, I want to make a point.
Seriously.
Hold on. You said monetary gain. Well, it might not have been monetary gain for the township, but the person on the other end is getting the monetary gain.
There was no money exchange.
Because we got caught.
Money, goods, services,
They didn't have to pay the
time,
money,
everything.
that's the benefit.
And how many times has this happened and it hasn't got caught that we don't know about?
It has to go through the treasurer's office, and there's a receipt for money, and the money's not there, it gets caught.
Okay, fair enough. Now, one more question. This next meeting, is this gonna be your final documentation that you're gonna put out there for us to see? You're not gonna kick this can down the road again?
Oh, no, we're gonna have a meeting. Like I
That's
said,
my concern, is you guys are just gonna keep kicking it down the road.
I'm putting together the whole story. Then we're gonna review it to make sure I got everything right, I didn't.
So the next meeting, you could kick it down the road again?
No, then
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna put together a story that they like and it works for them, and then they're
We're
gonna tell us.
we're gonna explain the whole story, and
Okay.
then at the normal board meeting, that document will be presented. It's not gonna be hit, we're not kicking it down the road. We just wanna make
You've
sure.
already been kicking it down the road. What are you talking about?
This could have been taken care of a lot sooner than this.
This is,
I called
this
the
is real
special
cut and
meeting so we
dry.
can discuss it and we can get what information I need to write that document. I'm just not gonna write something up and say, oh, here's this and this, and be wrong.
So
You
why
know how
doesn't
easy it is
the
to call the
state
police and have them write up an official
Let
document?
the
and send
state
it to them?
police to handle it.
They know what they're doing.
They know the laws,
Job
because you
is.
said you're not a lawyer, you don't know the laws, they
State
do.
police do.
That's why they can help.
I work with them all the time.
They're not gonna haul anyone to jail unless somebody's guilty.
But the
They're gonna
residents
investigate
would
it
feel
thoroughly,
better
unbiased,
knowing
and take
that
care.
somebody actually investigated it, and if
Now,
nothing
they
happened,
are
then we're good.
people.
Yeah, then obviously it's a third party telling us, hey, there's nothing wrong here.
Right. Now
Yeah.
you've made us all
Well,
concerned that there's something going on that you're trying to
We're gonna
hide.
prepare the document, and it'll be at the review board, and you can read it for yourself. If you think at that point that we're hiding something, or we're not doing it right, you have the option to call the state police.
I will contact, I will
That's
FOIA
your option.
the documents,
You could-
and I'll
you could
contact
leave
them
right-
myself.
You could leave right now and call the state police saying, hey, we're sweeping stuff under the rug.
No, I need the
That's-
I'm not
documents.
saying you're scooping
We
it
need
under
the
the rug.
FOIA
And
documents
we're
if
not,
you're
we're
not
not
gonna show
sweeping,
them to
I
us.
guarantee you, we're not sweeping under the rug. You will have the full story.
When
Why
I
does it take so
contacted the
long?
county clerk, they suggested, they can't tell you what to do, but they said that under advisement, the first step would be to contact the state police and then have a special meeting within 18 hours of when these board members were notified. Did anybody else on the board call and ask for advice from Michigan Township Association or the General Attorney's Office, the state, or not, the
I
state
did,
attorney?
I did look at the MTA, and I was looking for some, there's nothing.
They just call and talk to somebody.
They have nothing on
That's
this. I couldn't find
The
anything.
reason I ask is this has been brought up before. not to, this has been brought up before. Tom, Sherry, Mary Agnes, Sue, me, were on the board. And back in 2018, I sent you an email about a possible signature on documents, but I didn't have the support of the employees. So nothing was proved. I could only go by, starting out as a treasurer, I really didn't know everything that was going on. But there's a pattern here. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. I mean, right now, you should be very diligent in contacting outside authorities right now.
Yeah.
The board should. You're going to all be covering something if it's actual fraud. You're endangering the other board members and the employees. Who made the complaint? If it was the employees, now you're creating a situation that's pretty crappy for them.
Well, that was why I came down, that's what they first were worried about. And that's why I said, well, I'll come in, I'll start looking into this. But I was not gonna make a snap judgment on any of this stuff.
You shouldn't, the police should.
Yeah.
Then we'd all feel better as a community, as a township, that this was looked into and addressed.
Everything was nix.
No one's gonna have a separate meeting for me if I do something wrong. The police will come and talk to me. Why is this an exception?
It should be just the opposite.
I personally did not think we needed to do it until I knew what the whole story was.
You should not have to investigate. The police should.
Well, I decided not to.
But you're not the whole board.
Well, that's why we had the special meeting. We were trying to discuss this, get the whole story, and like I said, prepare that document.
But you didn't get the whole story.
Well, we have it now, and I can write the document up. I'll have it on the 7th. We're gonna make sure it's worded properly and that I didn't get something wrong, and then you will see it at a regular board meeting.
So if you decide not to move forward, then no one's going to investigate?
No, actually, I've already got a resolution.
I don't care about the resolution. What I'm
Well,
asking
you had a
you,
resolution, you didn't have the full story until today all of a sudden.
We're not gonna, this resolution would prevent this from ever happening again.
But it's already happened. We need to deal with it now.
That's true, but we had nothing, nothing controlled that.
Because you're not
before.
legal.
you're
The
not a
police
legal
are.
person.
And why would you write a resolution and not the attorney? I'm just asking, I mean, it's common sense.
We don't have
Just- you're not-
we don't have a staff attorney here.
I just want to know at the next board meeting that you're having on this, are you going to vote to decide as a board whether this is fraud or not? Well, that's the question, right?
That will answer.
And whether you're moving forward with the state police or not, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know as residents after September 7th
Yeah.
what we need to do, unfortunately, if that happens.
Yeah, at the.
That it's gonna fall on us to have to do
At the regular
it.
board meeting, you'll have the whole story, you'll have our position on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like, if you want to call the lawyer in, that'll be your option. But
Well, we were told that we had to wait to see what you decided today.
Well, we did, because we were going to do that, but we got more of the story now, and we're not really ready right now, so that's what
So you're going to delay it another month?
Not another month,
Well, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple
2
weeks.
weeks.
2 weeks, because I want to get that in writing. I want it in writing. I don't want verbal stuff that I heard this, she said this.
Didn't you get the writing from the employees? Did you get anything from the
We
employees in
got
writing?
I had
There's a bill and there's no money.
the original email, not email, the original letter from the employees. I got
All the
that.
employees? Can you tell us who made the accusations or suspicious circumstance? Who signed the email or who was in? Can you tell us anything?
Who's all involved?
Let's see.
This is someone.
Well, I don't have a signed copy, but it was apparently Kathy Harris, Michelle Epp, Nicole Hart, Barb Shute, Sherry Quinn put together a letter that addressing the concern. That was their concern, because they were concerned at how it would reflect on them.
Of
So
course.
They put it in writing, and they sent it to
Yeah.
me, and they sent a copy to Tom as trustees. And that is part of our job, we're supposed to be looking into this.
Was the other, Bev, did you get a copy of that?
I got a copy of it. I was not here that day it happened, so I don't know
Okay.
what it.
Did you get documentation along with that email or you just going on the email?
No, there was just wasn't really an email, it was a letter that they typed up, and I guess they got their own copies.
So nobody got any documentation
Tom
backing?
and I got it via mail, and like I said, I was out of town for like 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I didn't get a chance, I didn't get the letter until late Monday night. Tuesday was election day, Wednesday was the first day
Okay.
I had a chance to come in here and start looking at this.
Did you receive any documentation with the emails, what I'm asking?
Yes.
Well, there was,
did.
yeah, there was a,
Carl, we did receive it.
there was a copy of the receipt.
What was the receipt for?
I guess it was a water service application.
And who was the recipient of the receipt?
Excuse me?
Who received the receipt?
It was received by Mary Agnes.
No. Who was the payor supposedly?
Oh, it was Robert Young.
Is that
There-
Robert Young on Shea Road?
It's near the corner of Shea and Starville.
So that's Bill's son-in-law, the
I
building?
believe that's his son-in-law.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So that was the building department's son-in-law, and a receipt was placed in his, what was the receipt for? A water tap
It was for, I guess, water hookup?
hookup?
Water tap.
Or the meter, whatever.
And what was the amount of the receipt for? The amount, dollar amount?
$650.
Why would it be for $650 when a tap-in's $2,500?
That's what we discussed. Why,
Okay.
you know, and we have the answer to that. But I
What would
want
be the
to
answer?
get it all in writing. I don't want anything to be hidden. I don't want things to get out of.
What
out
if
of
the
hand.
receipt had been for
Rumors start.
$2,500? Would anybody have noticed that?
4,500?
$2,500.
Or 25?
Why would a receipt be in there for $650 when a tap-in's? But those are some questions that I would be like, somebody obviously noticed it.
This is
And
where
caught it.
the state police
Mm-hmm.
does the investigation.
It would-
You're not qualified to do the investigation.
It wouldn't have gone anywhere, no matter what the cost was, because there was no original receipt, from what I understand.
But there are signatures on there.
There was signatures on it, but it was just a copy of receipt to be used for a specific purpose, and there was no real actual money.
Well, the specific
Doesn't
purpose
matter.
is
It's a
appointing
receipt.
the contractor to do the job without that being paid.
Right.
Right. There was-
Again,
he-
fraud.
Again,
State police
fraud.
investigation.
Basically, he was
Finding fraud
trying to
for
do
us.
the work, but there was no monetary gain, so
You keep saying monetary. Monetary is
That has
irrelevant.
nothing to do
that's,
with the
that is the definition of.
If I'm getting
No,
free
it's not.
services that are valued at $2,500, I didn't pay for it, there's a monetary gain.
No,
I
no.
see.
Let the state police
$2,500.
decide.
There was, that was going to be, last meeting, there was going to be, before the agenda changed, that was going to be brought up for discussion at that meeting.
To discuss a lower amount, but either way.
No,
Bill came in and he paid the full price.
After they got caught.
After they got caught,
Well, after-
Mr. Young came in and paid that price.
Explained that he was going to have to
I
pay-
know, well, you know what, I'll wait till the next
He was
meeting, I
not going to
can't
get away
listen
from
to
that
this.
price.
I think you're doing
He
everything
was already
backwards.
explained to
They
him
are.
before the meeting, he was going to pay full price. We weren't going to
Have a good
give him a
day.
waiver of any time.
Was this brought forth by an audit of any sort?
No.
No, it was other employees who didn't want to be held accountable for fraud, so they put the notice out that this was happening.
So anyway, Bill came in, he paid the full price, and that was taken off of last board meeting. It was not discussed because he had paid for it.
But there was intent.
It's like robbing a bank and then returning the money.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
After you get caught, you give it back. No
Yeah.
harm.
I mean, seriously, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
won't be back in.
I think they all should resign.
If any one of us pulled this shit, it'd be a whole different story. There would not be a meeting, on top of a meeting, on top of delays. You guys know that. You guys got to get
I make a motion for adjournment.
All right, I'll second. We were